The Warriors handled business on the second night of a back-to-back. After a demoralizing loss to the Kings that I know had Warrior fans in shambles, this is the type of bounce-back performance you want to see. This was definitely the most complete game the Warriors have put together so far this season, and I think a big reason for that was Kerr's improved rotations. Kerr utilized better lineup combinations by staggering vets with the second unit. By doing that, he's putting the young dudes in better position to succeed. Poole had his best game of the season, dropping 36 points on 13 of 20 shooting, 5 for 10 from 3. It's an obvious difference in production between Poole the starter and Poole the sixth man. The reason why I think JP plays better as a starter is just because he just feels more confident. He just feels more comfortable as a starter. He's more decisive with the ball. He's not doing too much over dribbling, playing next to Steph and Draymond. Poole's at his best playing next to high IQ vets instead of young dudes who are still trying to figure themselves out. Even with Klay's horrible start to the season, the Warriors starters are still one of the best 5-man units in the league. I also feel like the Warriors just feel like they need Jordan Poole's shot creation with the second unit. If you take him out of that second unit, who's running the offense? That's probably the biggest reason why they're not even considering a lineup change. This is one of the best games of Kuminga's career. And I'm not talking about in terms of just a career high in points or a stat line. I'm talking about in terms of just being in control, being poised, playing with pace. It looked like he had a better understanding of when to be aggressive and when to facilitate for teammates. Usually Kuminga's just thirsty to get his. I feel like now he has a better understanding of what the coaching staff expects of him and how they want him to play. Like JP, Kuminga's best utilized playing with vets. I guess you can say that about all young players, but with JK specifically, having Looney or Draymond behind him quarterbacking the defense makes a huge difference in reducing defensive breakdowns. JK is a strong point of attack defender, but his off-ball awareness and his help instincts are lacking. So just having Looney or Draymond there makes a huge difference. I'm high on Kuminga and I feel like he's only going to improve as the season progresses. Klay's my guy, and I know it's hard criticizing Klay with all he's been through with injuries, but we still got to call it like we see it. Klay's been buns to start the season. I mean, if you ask him, Klay would be the first to tell you he's had a disappointing start to the season. It's not just that shots aren't falling for Klay. The thing that's hurting the Warriors is a shot selection. I feel like he's trying too hard to find his rhythm at the expense of the team's offense. There's been a few times this season where he literally shot the team out of the game. He just has to play more within the offense and take smarter shots. I'm not expecting all-star Klay, but I do expect him to at least get to the level he was at last year. I mean, the dude averaged 20 a game with no training camp after 2.5 years of rehab. All things considered, he was pretty good last year. If he can just get back to what he was last season, that's more than enough for this team to repeat if everyone else is doing what they need to do. This is what Klay said on his IG after the Kings game. I promise you it's coming. And when it does, the floodgates will open. I mean, I think it's coming too. As much as he's struggling now, he's had other seasons where he starts the season off struggling. Klay goes through funks all the time. Hopefully this is just another funk. I got faith in Klay, man. It might take some time for him to continue to get his legs under him, but I think at some point, Klay's going to be Klay. And all this early season struggles is going to be last week's news. With Draymond's been doing his thing, man. He's 17 assists to 4 turnovers over the last 2 games. That's a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Draymond's been balling. Dante DiVincenzo, I think this is Dante's second game back. Having Dante back allows JP to play more off ball. Sometimes it seems like Poole gets stuck in between trying to facilitate and trying to find his own shot, and that's one of the things he kind of struggles with in the second unit, finding that balance between the two. Moody caught 2 straight DNPs the last 2 games and came out last night ready to go. He knocked down a few shots in spite of inconsistent playing time. It's hard for a young player to learn how to stay ready getting erratic rotation minutes. One game you're playing 25 minutes, the next game you're catching DNPs. That's where vets like JTA and Damian Lee actually come in handy because they've been in the league long enough, they've been pros long enough, they know how to stay ready. I'm just impressed with Moody. Even though he's only a second-year player, he has the mindset of a vet. JaMychal Green, in my opinion, and Kerr already touched on this, but JaMychal's a straight up, he's a center. Him at power forward, those minutes are kind of ugly. He's straight up just a backup center. 14 games into the season and someone else besides Steph finally led the team in scoring. Steph Curry's been insane to start the season. You can't expect him to carry this type of load all season. Other dudes got to step up. Wiggins has been good, but outside of that, there's been a lot of inconsistent play, mainly from JP and Klay. Once those two start playing better, I promise you, at some point this season, this team is going to reel off a double-digit win streak. The Warriors still have things to figure out with the bench unit, but the starting 5 is still one of the best 5-man units in the league. In terms of the Wiseman situation and his 2-timeline approach the front office is doing, I'm not against the 2-timeline approach. I actually like having young players on the team to root for and watch improve, but I feel like they have too many young dudes. Having Poole, Kuminga, and Moody, that's already a lot of youth in the second unit. Then you add Wiseman, who didn't play any college, who's played less than 50 career games. And you just throw him out there as your backline defense and pair him with 3 other young dudes. That's just not going to work. It's too many young dudes. And then on top of that, Kuminga and Wiseman can't play at the same time because they both compound mistakes. So you have your 7th overall pick and your 2nd overall pick, and they can't really share the court because of redundancies and their weaknesses. That's a problem. And then you got Poole, who, although he's on his 2nd contract, he's still a young dude. He's still going to have his inconsistent moments. He's still going to have his moments where he's trying to work through stuff that young players work through. I wasn't sure what to expect at first when the Warriors announced they were letting Quindary Weatherspoon go and they were signing Anthony Lamb to a two-way spot. I didn't know anything about the dude, but I like what I see so far. I think he's for sure an NBA player. He can shoot. He knows where to be on the court. He knows the rotations. He knows when to cut. He boxes out great. If you're running a switching scheme, he can hold up. I'm not saying he's a lockdown. I'm not saying he's a great defender. I'm saying he can hold his own on the switch. Having like a small forward/power forward that can knock down threes on one end and playing a switching scheme on the other end, that's a player the Warriors can use. That's a player the Warriors need. They definitely found a guy who can play, and getting a guy who can play and contribute minutes on a two-way, we'll see how it plays out. Overall, I think this was an encouraging win for the Warriors. It looks like the coaching staff found a few lineup combinations that they like going forward. Lamb looks like a keeper. I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised the Warriors were willing to send Wise to the G League, but I agree with the decision. The kid needs reps. He shouldn't be glued to the bench catching DNPs, but he's also not good enough to crack the Warriors' rotation, so what do? Santa Cruz seems like the only solution. The Warriors already dug themselves a hole. They can't afford to drop more games while they wait for Wiseman to learn how to play basketball. Anyways, that's all I got for y'all. If you stuck around this long into the video, I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow your boy on Twitter at Holly_415. I'm out, y'all. Peace.